What is up, NFL fans? Welcome to the Legit Football NFL podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Phillip Fox. And if you missed 30 minutes of football last night, you missed some huge news. So I'm here to break it all down with you. And of course, I'm not going to be doing it alone. This is our new format moving forward for Legit Football and our NFL formatted podcast, because on Tuesday, we have a waiver wire podcast hosted by myself and Brian McFadden. And on Wednesday, we have a fantasy Q&A podcast hosted by myself and Brian McFadden. Could not be more excited to be getting into fantasy football territory. We'll be bringing all the usual suspects back. We love our team at Legit Football. The Thursday show, however, is going to be a little bit different because we've teased for a long time doing a Legit Football Avenger style podcast. It is now officially going to be every single week. So I don't think I can be Iron Man because I think that's Brian McFadden. I'll happily be, I guess, like Spider-Man, I guess. So welcome. I'm your official Spider-Man for the Legit Football Avengers. And I will be bringing in, I'll say Captain America, even though he's from Australia. Adrian Revito is going to be my right-hand man on the Thursday show. What is up, Adrian Revito?
I feel like this is a real... I need to let it play out. That's a missed opportunity. Did you even look like Chris Evans? That handsome mug. You are Captain America. Let's be honest. You should.
I switch us? Okay.
But it's hard because you're also a young person as well. So that's kind of hard, man. Maybe I'm like Nick Fury, the old dude who's just angry all the time. I don't know.
It's tough. Armand can be our Thor 100%. And then, like I said, this is Avengers. So every Thursday show moving forward is going to be myself, Adrian Revito, and our next Avenger, the Hulk, Jimmy Ray. What the hell is up, Jimmy Ray?
Yeah, I think I'll be Groot. Can I be Groot?
You can be Groot.
I'll just keep saying I'm Groot the whole time. That's the first thing that came to mind.
Okay, I actually like that. I was gonna say, do you want to be Bradley Cooper in what's the other one? Guardians? You want to be Bradley Cooper?
Whatever you want me to. I'll be the whole Guardians of the Galaxy crew. I'll just switch in and out between all of them.
I like Groot for Jimmy. So we got our Groot, we got our Captain America, we got our Adrian, you're Thor? Hulk? No, Armand's Thor. I'm confused.
You know what I'll take? I'll take Star-Lord. He's Guardians as well, but I'll take him.
Sure. Okay. There you go. We got our Star-Lord over here as well. It couldn't be better. And we're definitely excited for the fantasy stuff, but Legit Football is not going anywhere because we need to break down what happened the week before, what's going to happen the coming week. We got Crystal Ball Adrian over here with his Calvin Ridley forecasting. We got Jimmy Ray over here having a party because Anthony Richardson looked pretty darn decent in his first NFL start. Meanwhile, I'm lamenting the same old with my beautiful, now in his sixth year, man-child quarterback who's throwing games away on national television. Without further ado, the Legit headlines are going to switch up a little bit. I say we each pick a storyline, a game, a performance, a this, that, or the other from week one that we want to talk about. So, Adrian, I will give you the floor. And Anthony is in midseason form. Anthony is absolutely he can be Rocket. Anthony is Rocket from Guardians. Why don't you hit us with your week one storyline, performance, player, this, that, or the other?
Look, and I know, I'm sure you guys discussed this yesterday, but can we talk about Aaron Rodgers? I'm sorry, Armand, to bring this up, but can we talk? I feel like
it's tragic.
We need to pay some service here.
It's heartbreaking. Please, you and Jimmy both, please have the floor. Lament, because NFL fans need it.
Yeah, so let me start with this. Let me first give condolences to Armand, one of our number one fans. We know you're a Jets fan, but really condolences to everyone. I think we were saying this in the pre-show. It sucks for everyone. Every NFL fan was waiting to see Rodgers and was excited for this. It kind of, I don't remember the last injury that brought people together like this. Everyone was just on the same page. There's always going to be some haters and trolls, but for the most part, everyone is just burning for Rodgers, for Jets. Everyone lost in this. Even the Packers lost. I'm not worried about the pick because I feel like that's probably the least influential one here. But and I was sort of again mentioning the pre-show. Take it back to 1999. Jets had Vinny Testaverde, really hyped season coming in. They had a really young team. Achilles in the first week, same as Rodgers, and that is just a tough,
very haunting
run for Jets fans.
Yeah. I was watching it with my girlfriend, and she's like, "Does this usually happen?" She's like, "What's happening?" And I was like, "I don't know what's happening, but I'm pretty sure this dude is done for the season in 4 snaps." and she was confused. I was confused. We were looking forward to a good game. It ended up being a great game for maybe one side of it. I mean, neither side of it, I say, had a really good game because it was it's a bittersweet loss or a bittersweet win for sure for the Jets. I don't know where they go from here. I feel like they can still be better than they were last year, but I mean, with Dalvin Cook, and I think their defense will slowly improve. I mean, it'll be tough, but I'm still hopeful. You know, that's the type of guy I am. So,
yeah, I think people are going to leave Zach Wilson for dead. But he does have top 5 draft pedigree. He does have Rodgers in his ear now, which he's never had before. I don't think Rodgers is leaving that building or that sideline. No. I think the Rodgers we've seen emerge, I think he's going to be a force in that locker room, on that team, on that sideline. So personally, I'm thinking we'll see a better Zach Wilson than we've ever seen. You can only put so much makeup on a pig, however, and it is still a pig. So we'll see if Zach Wilson is a pig or if there's some sort of a weird like George Orwell story happening here where he's not a pig. Right?
I have 2 more bright sparks just for Armand and all the Jets fans. That defense looked like off the charts amazing. They were fantastic. Jordan Whitehead, I know it's been a bit of a story, but he made his $250,000 incentive in one game for a year's worth of picks. And I really, if anyone who watched Hard Knocks, you would have loved Xavier Gibson, as most of us did. Really good to see him get his moment, punt return to win the game. Good for everyone but Kevin. I'm sorry about that, Kevin.
Yeah, no, and so I'll tell you, I'll walk you guys through my night a little bit. I was kind of the mindset that, we're facing Zach Wilson. What do we really need to do to not lose? And I mean, I thought we were going to do it. And look, I can only add so much to the mainstream narratives that are going on with Josh Allen right now. But the truth is, and nobody can deny this, he threw that game away. And he did it because he wanted to make a play. He did it because he's the cover boy of Madden and he's dating the star of the #1 grossing film in the world. And he thinks he has to earn it. And he forgets that all you have to do is go 1-0 every week in the NFL to be a great player. And that was a disappointing thing for a player in his 6th year who we've thought has coached this hero ball out of his game. Alas, it wasn't to be. The Jets earned it. Whitehead took those balls away. And yeah, it'll be really interesting to see Josh Allen and the Bills bounce back, but a chance to win a game on the Bengals and the Chiefs and you blow it like that is very tough to stomach as a Bills fan. But not as tough to stomach as what happened to the Jets fans. So I'll lick my wounds and I'll be ready to celebrate Josh Allen's 5 touchdowns this week on next week's show. So that's Monday night. Jimmy, got any interesting stories from week 1, performances, players, games that you want to break down, recap, talk about before we move on?
I would love to talk about the Dolphins-Chargers game. I feel like that was one of the most interesting games of week 1. I'm sure Brian is hype about it. Going into the season, I feel like there's a lot of question marks going into like the Dolphins and stuff, but we saw how dynamic they could be in last season for sure. And I mean, there was some ups and downs for sure, but Tua, he came out balling. The Chargers defense did not come out ready to play at all. They didn't know how to stop Tyreek Hill, 215 yards. Tyreek Hill had like 466 yards, or Tua had 466 yards. Absolutely insane performance by both teams. And then the Chargers, that rushing attack. Joshua Kelly, he's kind of a bright spot on that offense. We all know about Austin Eckler, but he's a little banged up now. And Joshua Kelly came in and didn't miss a beat. So both sides of the ball, it was one of those games. Very fun to watch if you like offense. It was just, I mean, you could watch those highlights for days probably.
Really interesting to see the Chargers when Eckler stopped in the 4th quarter when he only got 3 touches and their offense sort of dropped off a cliff. So he definitely proved his worth in a year where he sort of had to negotiate to extend and they weren't willing to pay him what he thought he was worth. As soon as he stopped touching the ball, their offense stopped. Really,
he requested a trade. Don't forget that too. Just like Jonathan Taylor. I mean that situation's still going, but Austin Eckler made it happen. So but it's obvious that he's an important part of that offense.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tua deserves all the credit in the world for going out there and dealing. He absolutely Chase, we're looking at Eagles Vikings tonight. It's in a couple hours. So you got some time to chill out, but Eagles Vikings tonight. We'll be talking about that game.
Get ready for the preview of it. It's coming.
Yep. But I I want to give Tua his credit, and I want to ask you guys. I'm not victory lapping anything in week 1, but is my Justin Herbert narrative gaining steam? He didn't get it done. Came up a little small on that final drive.
I'll tell you what I will say is this: is that the narrative of crunch time Justin Herbert just doesn't deliver. That's 100% gaining steam. Dolphins fans have been waiting for Tua to outperform him because they picked Tua first. So I don't know. Look, I don't know. I still think it was a great game. I still think their offense looked good until the fourth quarter. But that's the thing. I mean, that football's played in four quarters. You can't perform for 3 of them. So
yeah. And the Dolphins defense came to play that last drive too for Justin Herbert. I mean, he got destroyed. So I wouldn't even say it was like Justin Herbert like making bad decisions or anything like that. I think it was just like he was just bombarded, and the Dolphins were ready to take that win in week 1. So
yeah, no, that was a phenomenal game, phenomenal effort by both sides, but ultimately Tua and Tyreek just had too lethal of a connection for the Chargers to keep up with. Any teams that surprised you for good, bad, or ugly reasons? Adrian, I'll start with you.
Can I ask one? I'll get to that. Can I ask you one question, Kevin? Because this is directed to you specifically.
Sure. Is
it time for us to eat some crow on that Tyreek is a top 5 receiver take?
You know, I hear you. I hear the it's week 1, right?
Yeah,
so I
don't want to overreact.
I don't think that there was ever a question that in terms of ceiling, he has the highest ceiling of a player total. Like nobody can do what he can do from like a ceiling standpoint. But I think his floor and his middle range, like his consistency level, is lower than most players. Yeah. Is that a fair take?
That's a fair take. After that game, I was like, maybe I'm being too harsh by putting him at a top 5.
I think I put him in the top 5 when we had that little talk about him. I think, and you guys were like, "Well, Tyreek Hill," but I mean, his highs
your way, Jimmy.
Yeah,
let's see what. Go ahead.
Sorry, he has some crazy highs, man. I mean, it's beautiful to see, and I think once if he gets the balls in his hand, it's game over. Mm-hmm. But I think getting the balls in his hands might be the difficult part. But he's just electric. He's so unique, which is probably why I put him in the top 5 at one point. I'm pretty sure I did. We could go back and look at the film. I have no idea. It's been like a couple months, but he's definitely one of the best wide receivers in the league. I think we can all at least agree on that.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I'm gonna have to see, because I was talking technical refinement, I was talking skills, route running, this, that, and the third. But I mean, when you have raw speed and the ability to track the deep ball the way that he does, that might just be a trump card when it comes to skill sets. Like that might just be the most important skill set. So Tyreek is definitely, Adrian, I'll say we're on notice. Yeah. I don't think we're ready to eat the crow yet, but I think we got our bibs on. We got our silverware, and it's possible. It's possible.
Back to your original question. Surprising games. I'm going to stay away from the homerism, and I'm going to move to the 49ers. They're looking like the best team in football. Your thoughts on that?
Wow. I can't disagree. The way that they shellacked everybody's preseason darlings, Pittsburgh Steelers, Adrian's playoff, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Pittsburgh Steelers.
I'm eating crow all over the place here.
It's a tough. Well, I started drinking the Kool-Aid. You know what I'm saying? I got the blue tongue from the Kool-Aid. So I'll stomach that one too. Pittsburgh, they weren't him on Sunday. They looked bad. But also the 49ers might just be that good. Jimmy, thoughts on the 49ers being the best team in football?
I would tend to agree with that. I think in our show last week on Tuesday, I was like, the 49ers are going to run over the Steelers, and that's definitely what happened. I picked them to cover the spread at least, and they did just that. I mean, they had like 199 total yards, and the Steelers had like 1 total yard in the second quarter.
It was ridiculous.
It was one of those things where box scores kind of tell the whole story at that point. That's one of those moments where like you can post that at halftime and be like, yeah, this is happening. You can go to a different game if you need to. The 49ers just have too many playmakers, and Brandon Ayuk and Debo and Christian McCaffrey. And I mean, Brock Purdy played well. Obviously, he does what the 49ers need him to do. The 49ers defense has a lot of playmakers. I mean, I just, after week 1, I don't see it as an overreaction to say the 49ers. It's their time. They need to step up. They need to make that championship game. They need to make the Super Bowl, make something happen this season. And it starts with week 1, and they did that against an inferior team. So
I'm inclined to absolutely agree. I think if anybody has any sort of a case, the teams that might have that ceiling didn't show up in week 1 the way we thought they would. Buffalo, Kansas City, Cincinnati. I'm looking at those teams. They didn't really make those statements that the 49ers made. So, I think it's pretty safe to say that right now they're top. Jimmy, you did have them, or you were relaying power rankings, but are they number 1 on your power rankings?
I'd say so. After week 1, it was just like there was too many. The top teams, I think it's pretty easy to put them in number 1. I know the Eagles performed very well too, but yeah, I wouldn't say not very well.
Well is
not the right word, because the Patriots kind of could have won that game, which it was very interesting.
And I've been saying a lot too. The narrative about that game is very much like, oh man, like the Patriots just missed it. Like what an effort, like what a moral victory. But let's also not forget, had the Patriots not fallen in the 16-0 hole in the first quarter, did the Patriots outplay the Eagles? I think is the question. And I think it's hard to say no, but turnovers and all in the first quarter really, really did them in.
Yeah, I mean, Kendrick Bourne with a couple tuds. Mac Jones played solid.
He did. He dealt.
It's very interesting to see. I think the Eagles will be fine, but maybe we're sleeping on the Patriots a little bit this season. We'll have to see kind of how they play. But I've
been drinking the Kool-Aid for Patriots. I feel like you got Big Bad Bill. His defense is always going to come to play. And as they did, Mac Jones with Bill O'Brien now, like you can expect to see an improvement on offense, as we already have. So it was. I think the Eagles offense got stilted a little bit by the defense, and that was interesting to see, because we were kind of expecting this high octane offense that came out last year. Might not be the same this year. Who knows?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Lot to digest from week 1. It was a especially from a fantasy football standpoint, my stomach is sick from week 1. Oh my God, the number of gooses. I will say, I want to address this really quick. Chase, fire up your Dallas Goedert tonight. The Vikings pass defense is horrendous. Dallas Goedert won't repeat a goose. I'm pretty confident in that. And if there's going to be a team that he's going to get right against, it is this Vikings team. So
and the tight ends are weird too. So like, just fluky. if you drafted them and you feel comfortable, don't worry about week 1. Just start them with a blank slate. So.
I think that's the case with everybody who underperformed in week 1 too. Can we give that confidence boost out? Week 1 is a liar. That's a famous Kyle Brandt.
Not Kadarius Toney though.
Yeah, he's okay to fade for the rest of the season, but. Without further ado, boys, anything else on week 1 that we want to touch on? Adrian, shout out to your Packers. You can victory lap this moment. You knew they would be. You knew they would be studs. You knew they would blow Chicago out of the water, and I picked Chicago. So, fat L for me.
Romeo Dubs. And can we just say that I've been saying he's going to be the man, and he was the man. And that was limited snap count, by the way. He's still got an injury that he's playing through.
Dang,
the chemistry, you can't say enough about the chemistry him and Jordan Love have.
No, Christian Watson too.
And they still took care of business.
Yeah, so there's a chance Watson and Jones might be out this week. Both didn't practice today, so we'll see. Yeah, Jones was probably the one that pulled it together, I would say, the most.
I need him.
Same.
I need him for fantasy, dude. I got him in too many leagues.
They're hopeful.
Yeah, let's
cross our fingers. About J.K. Dobbins, man. I mean, the Ravens got destroyed. Can we talk about that a little bit with injuries? That was one of the most
pretty classic Ravens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they got the win.
It's like a good year for them at the moment.
They need a new training staff.
Oh my gosh, dude! J.K. Dobbins, Tyler Lindenbaum.
They did get the win, but it wasn't pretty. You wanted it to be pretty, and it wasn't. Pretty, so.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, I think they kind of got it going in the second half, but with the injuries and stuff, and against the Texans, a rookie quarterback, a team you expect to win, but their defense, Roquan Smith, is still solid. Zay Flowers balled out in his premier game with the team. It was a beautiful sight to behold. So
all right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is time for our
main topic.
There it is.
Oh, there we go, baby. We're going to be doing a week 2 preview. So what we did last week, Anthony had us on a timer. There was a whistle and we talked the games. We got 16 games to get through. So I think we can do 3 minutes a game, Anthony, and we'll try to go round robin. We'll try to all, take up a minute. It'll be, we'll switch up who goes first. And we'll just tackle these games and at the end we'll all pick our winners, and then we'll Adrian, if you can keep track, I went 9-7 last week on our
Wow.
pick show. I don't know if you've kept track of your picks from the first.
I haven't, but
week.
I'll go back and check it.
Retroactive, yeah. Let's look at that, and then maybe we can, maybe have a friendly competition between the three of us for who picks the most games right. On the season, Jimmy, you'll have to submit your picks to Anthony, since you'll be missing some shows after this one. But without further ado, Anthony, do you want to cue up that first game and that first spread? If you got it. If not, it's all good. We'll start with tonight. There we go, baby. We got a whistle, and we got Vikings, Eagles. I don't know the exact spread. I'm hoping we can get a producer spread moving forward, but I'm pretty sure the Eagles are going to be heavy favorites, and I'm pretty sure
6.5, I think.
Yeah,
6.5
point-ish. Yeah.
6.5 point favorites. I'm pretty confident that the Eagles are going to take care of business here. As I said earlier, the Vikings defense is Swiss cheese. Jalen Hurts kind of needs a little bit of a redemption game, kind of a little bit of a get-right game. He didn't really look his best in week 1, I'll say. But yeah, I'm personally don't think this is much of a conversation. I'm picking the Eagles. I think Justin Jefferson might be the only Viking worth really starting in fantasy tonight. But do you guys have anything to add to that?
I think that the Eagles, you're right. They had one offensive touchdown last week, but they were against the Pats, as I mentioned, and that is a tough defense. Probably like a sneaky tough defense. I mean, everyone knows Bill Belichick is good, but that was a sneaky tough defense. The Vikings are ranked 25th in PFF for their secondary. I would expect to see Jalen Hurts going back downfield, which he didn't do nearly enough last week. I'd expect the Eagles to cover this. I mean, I've been on the Vikings or a fraud corner for quite a while now, and I'm staying there. I think they're just going to get rolled over tonight.
Did they really put some smoke on or some gasoline on that fraud fire by losing to Baker Mayfield and the Bucks?
Man, look, but you know what? And there was a headline where Baker had already picked up their defensive signals by the second half, and that was like, and then that was really a game for me. I don't know if they did it intentionally, but that was like Vikings are a fraud. Baker's not that bad.
Yeah,
all about that fire.
Yeah, Jimmy.
I completely agree with everything you guys have said so far. I've been kind of weird about the Vikings this whole time. Last season, they had a negative point differential and got like 13 wins. And I mean, it kind of said the whole story at that point. They had some very close wins, and now maybe this year they won't have any close wins, and they'll start losing those types of games, which could drastically switch around that. I mean, you lose to Baker Mayfield and the Bucks. No hate to them, but I think the Vikings should be better than they are. Especially with Justin Jefferson and that offense kind of unloading on him. I don't think their offense was as good as it could have been. Alexander Madison. I mean, it's just tough.
Yeah, I think we can sweep this one. And like last week, Adrian and Jimmy, this is your first week on one of these shows with us. When we know, and we'll what's the term? We'll waive the rest of our time so we can have more time for those juicy games. Next on the docket, I got Packers. We got Anthony. We got a producer now. We're locked in here. We got Raiders at Bills. Bills are 9.5 point favorites. I was going to let somebody else take the lead, but these are my boys. I will just jump back in. You guys will have it for the rest. Look, you guys know I love Jimmy G, and I love Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers and Josh Jacobs and Max Crosby. And I'd love to come on here and tell you that I think the Raiders have a shot to cover this 9.5 point spread. We are picking games spread with holding. I say we pick who's going to win, and then we'll throw our spread picks in there for fun. But I think for record keeping sake, we should throw the spread out the window. I will say that the Raiders don't have the sauce to cover here. I think Josh Allen's going to be in that mode that he's in, revenge Josh Allen. And I think he's going to go out there, have 5 touchdowns, really, really lock in and be the player that we all know him to be. I think he's going to put week 1 in the rear view. And I think the Bills defense proved to be who we thought they were. 13 of the 22 points that they gave up were on Josh Allen turnovers, and 6 of them were on a punt38 touchdown in overtime. So I'm not even remotely worried about the defense. I think this is going to be a routing. I'll say 38 to 17.
Yeah, Josh Allen made some comments to the media about feeling very responsible for last week's game. I think you're right. He's going to come out and he's going to be in revenge mode. The only thing I will say to Josh Allen, and I know he's a regular listener, obviously, Josh, man, there's a couple of times where he just, instead of going out of bounds, just stayed in bounds to get an extra yard or 2 and take a massive hit. This is the year that you need to stop doing that. This is the year
promised.
Oh yes, so much. But and look, and just a note on the Raiders. I know Jacoby Myers was dealing with an injury. Devontae Adams was dealing
Concussion.
with a non-serious injury, but
Yeah.
just something to track there. I think the Raiders did much better than any of us expected to do.
I did pick him to
last
win
week.
for whatever it's worth,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, well, anyone that's not you, because we know that
I love Jimmy.
you are the savant.
I
Yeah.
am.
But no, look, I think Jimmy G is up for a pretty tough game here. I'd expect a couple picks coming his way. I'm with you. I think they're going to cover the spread.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I think the Raiders did play solid. Obviously, you guys have already talked about Jacoby Myers and Jimmy G playing solid. Max Crosby on the defense, but yeah, I have the Bills to win as well. I think I'll go in and pick the Raiders to cover. I think the Bills will still be a little iffy. I don't think they'll come out full on swinging 38-17. I think it'll be close, but I think maybe 7 or 8 points as a whole. But I think maybe throughout the game it'll be the Bills are going to win, but it'll end up being a little of a close game.
A little dicier, right?
Yeah.
Ever the competitor in me. So we're tracking you said wins and losses for our records here.
I think so. Yeah. I like that idea.
Okay.
I got my picks from last week. I switched my Chiefs pick to the Lions on the show last minute last week on you guys remember that actually, by the way? Anthony and I would like an apology because we picked the Lions and we were told we were crazy. But yeah, so I went 9-7 on my picks last week. Age, you don't know yet, but we'll find that out.
I'll come back to it next week
in due time. Yeah. But and Jimmy too, if you have your picks anywhere submitted, we'd love to see them. Or are we just gonna have to trust you?
You're just gonna trust me that I won 16.
That he won 16.
Yeah,
right.
that's fine.
So next on the docket, we have Bears at Bucks. And I would have probably joked and called this a toilet bowl prior to this week, but Adrian, this isn't a toilet bowl anymore. Talk to me.
Isn't it? I mean, I'm gonna stick by. I mean, I've told you I was not in on Justin Fields. There's a headline in the Legit Football newsletter today talking about his intended air yards being at 3, averaging out of 3. Now, your standard for context, when he versed Jordan Love, it was at 10 and averages around 6 or 8 yards. What it is talking about how far down they bought the yard they're passing. Sorry, far down the field they're passing on average. We said that Justin Fields needed to be a better passer this year. And he that is not a prolific offense. It's not even a passable offense to be hitting 3. Their defense was terrible, and even the offensive line was a bit of a turnstile. So you got the Bucks coming in, feeling himself. Baker is a streaky player at best, but when he gets hot, can we agree that he gets hot? It might not last for more than 2-3 games.
Yeah,
but he's going to be feeling himself here. Yeah, I mean, look, he protected the ball. That was a big issue for him. Had a 94 passer rating. His the year that he went to the playoffs, he averaged 95. So Baker, I think, is probably at the top of, I'm going to say the top of his game, which is an overreaction after 1 week, but he's playing as good as he's ever played for now. Let's see how long it lasts.
Yeah, Jimmy, what are your thoughts?
Justin Fields out.
Yeah, you're picking Bucks, right, Age?
Yeah, I am. I'm backing myself. Yeah, Bucks all the way.
Yeah,
I'm Bucks all the way too. I don't think I'm ready to say anything good about the Bears right now. I think last week was kind of just very disappointing for Bears fans and for NFL fans as a whole, because I think at how the season ended last year for the Bears, we were like, hey, they lost a lot of games, but they're using Justin Fields correctly in some ways, and then they come out this time and they were way too conservative with Justin Fields.
Horrible.
And with the weapons that he has, they didn't perform as well. I mean, DJ Moore kind of didn't show up. Darnell Mooney played all right.
Crazy.
I mean, Roschon Johnson was kind of the light at the end of the tunnel for the Bears. So I'm not saying this game is 100% going to the Bucks, but I'm just not ready to be like, hey, the Bears are going to beat the Bucks after the Bucks had a solid game against the Vikings. I know I talked trash about Baker Mayfield a little bit ago, but I think he's still solid enough to get some wins against teams that aren't quite ready to get wins. And I think he has some talent around him and enough talent to make it happen. And they're at home, so I'll just stick with the Bucks. But it should be an interesting game.
Yeah, and we can't forecast the leap for the Bears if they don't show us that they're ready to take the leap. Week 1 was the chance for them put up a fight against a team like the Packers, who aren't as established as playoff contenders as you would expect. So definitely discouraging week 1. Easy money. I'm picking the Bucks as well. Can't really be in on them yet either, because they're right now looking like a little bit of paper tigers. But we'll see. That's why I joked toilet bowl. But hey, the Bucks might be 2-0 after this week. So That's not toiletable.
Chase Claypool. Yeah, Armand says Chase Claypool could be
he's a
bench worst traded. I think he'll be benched. I don't know if you'll come back, but
he sucks.
A lot of reports saying like he's not helping blocking. I mean, it's.
And I do want to address in the comments, we have Chase asking what a spread is. Chase, Las Vegas, the betting experts, the sportsbook experts, forecast this to be the most likely outcome for the game to play out. So the minus means that the Lions would be -4.5, which would mean Vegas projects the Lions to win by at least 4.5 points. So that would mean that, and then there's implied point totals, but basically the spread is the minus team is the one that the Vegas projects to win.
Yeah. So if we say if we pick the Lions and we're saying, hey, the Lions are going to win by 5 or more. And if we pick the Seahawks here for the spread specifically, we're saying that they're going to lose by 4 or less or possibly win. So it's
our picks on the show are straight up. We're acknowledging the spread so we can, use it, but we're not actually.
Yeah, because picking the spread makes it more even when betting instead of just hey, the Lions are going to win, because that's not good odds. So check out betting. There's a lot of good
he's happens. 10 actually, Jimmy. We've learned this from a couple weeks ago. So check out betting in 8 years.
Chase. Yeah, don't bet. Yeah. Wait till you're 21, Chase.
Or 21. Sure, 11 years.
Yeah.
So anyways,
I mean,
back on topic. See how he's like betting his snack pack pudding at lunch. Seahawks at Lions, and this is one that I'll tee up for Jimmy Ray, or if the producer's camera ready, wouldn't hate having a little guest on for this one. But Jimmy, why don't you start us off while we see if Anthony's going to join us?
Man, I really want to make Anthony mad here, but I think the Seahawks looked kind of not great last week when it's one of those things again where like week 1 we don't really know what's going to happen. We don't know if it's just the week 1 kind of catastrophe that we see, or if they're going to come back and like bounce back, or if it's like a season long thing. But I got to go Lions here, man. They beat up on the Chiefs. I mean, it was a close game, but I think the Lions are stacked, and I'm excited to see where they're going. And I think I think this spread and the straight up is pretty easy to pick right now.
Yeah, I'm in on that.
Which I'll say differently on Monday, but right now I'm going to say it's easy. So.
Oh, I'm in on that 100%, man. I think the Lions showed that their grit and their toughness was real. I would like to see a better coached game. I think the Chiefs' ineptitudes masked a lot of what I would say was poor conservative coaching on Dan Campbell and the Lions end. I thought that they would out aggressive teams and be the gambler riverboat team that everybody wanted them to be, and they ultimately played pretty damn conservative. Oh, here we go, baby. We got Anthony Wayne, the producer, massive Lions fan on the show. Hat withholding. What is up, Anthony? Talk to us.
I had to make an entrance.
Of course.
So the Rams beating the Seahawks the way that they did with all the rookies that they were playing with and doing really good at it too. I think the Seahawks are overhyped, and I feel like I'm the only one who I've been saying that all season. Where the Lions, they've kind of lived up to the hype. So now you're putting these two teams together at home at the Lions home opener. It's a sold out show. I think that they are going to win and cover the spread. I think that Seattle still has some things to figure out, where the Lions have already figured their stuff out. So I think there's one team that's just more ready for the W, and Seattle's not that team.
Yeah, age
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, just something to try. I look, I'm picking the Lions on this one too. Both the Seahawks tackles went out last week. That is something to track here, because Aiden Hutchinson looked the part against the Chiefs, and he's going to be eating this game. So this pains me, because I really, if I'm calling one competitor in the North, it's going to be the Lions here. So it pains me to pick them. Sorry, Ant. But I'm not sorry, because you trashed on me. You trashed on me with your photos when they won. So, but I'll pick the Lions. Yeah, and I think they are their favorites for a reason. The Seahawks could find themselves in a really rough spot at 0-2 because that's kind of not what we were expecting them out of the gates, and they've got the 49ers in the division, with the Rams looking a bit better.
Yeah, no, I think we're all on the same page here. Lions are the easy pick, and the Seahawks, they look a little fraudulent after the first game. They're going to have to go out there and show us, just like the Bears, that it's not a mirage and that they're actually a legit team. Because right now, 1 week through the season, we can only assess what we've seen, and they look like poop. So thank you so much for coming on, Anthony.
Of course. I do want to say one more thing about the Lions that I just find was interesting. Yeah. CJ Gardner-Johnson said in the postgame, he said, we are villains now. We are the villains, and he told everyone to go buy a blue ski mask.
Whoa.
So Amazon
Oh.
just sold out of blue ski masks.
Oh,
That's
And,
gonna be
the
so
home opener is
awesome.
it's gonna be
That's
pretty
actually
cool.
pretty.
Jeez.
That's actually
Watch out
pretty
for
bizarre.
the super fans for the Lions. The Chiefs had some guys rob banks, so hopefully that doesn't
Hopefully
bode
there's no
well.
correlation
I
there.
Yeah, I
remember
don't.
That's
yeah,
funny.
so be careful, Anthony. Okay,
Yeah, please.
don't
actually,
turn to
we
the
don't
dark
want you
side.
to-
We need
yeah,
you.
Yeah, no, we don't want you to go rob any banks, Anthony. Let's
I have a stack of chips on my shoulder, being a Lions fan.
Whoa.
So
Yeah,
okay,
that's
respect,
fair.
respect.
all
let's
right, see you guys.
let's talk about this.
Barbecue
Peace out,
chips.
Anthony. Let's really quick. One more thing on that last game. Fun fact: if wide receiver Kadarius Toney, who had 4 drops, instead of trying to catch every pass that was thrown to him, just swatted every single pass down to the ground, Chiefs win that game because the Lions' game-changing, momentum-swinging pick 6 came off of a Kadarius Toney drop. So, fun fact. I think the Lions did live up
Not
to the
too
hype,
fun for him, but yeah.
He got rolled through the mud, though. I wonder if it would have. I mean, it's only because it was the opening game. I feel like if that happened, like on a Sunday night game, he might not have copped it.
Yeah, he got dragged. Ladies and gentlemen, good at baseball 28-28. We're all picking the Lions to win that game, all 4 of us.
Yep.
Chargers at Lions. Chargers are -3, which means the Chargers are 3-point favorites at the Titans. Did I say Lions? I meant Titans.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this, guys. The Titans looked maybe the worst out of any team in the entire NFL in week 1. They had absolutely no sauce to compete with the Saints with. Ryan Tannehill looks cooked, medium well. If he's on the grill for another second, he's getting sent back because he is not looking too tasty right now. What are our thoughts on that?
That was some steakhouse. That was some SME, like subject matter expertise. Right
You like
there.
that? You like
I
that?
did. I loved it. Tannehill played terrible. If there was any hype around Malik Willis or Will Levis, which there is not, they'd be calling for him already. There would be calls for that because that was just a terrible game. He did look rubbish.
Yeah, rubbish is a good word for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to say on the Titans. We were all advocates for this should have been the tear it down year. I think they're going to regret not doing that.
Yep.
Because they could have shipped him out to the Falcons for a late
Second round pick.
Yeah,
Third.
like he was
Saved a lot of cap.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then on the other side of the ball, I mentioned that the Chargers kind of dropped out for that Eckler when he was getting less touches. But as long as they keep him involved in the game, their offense still looked good. Defense, as Jimmy mentioned, not so much. So I know they mixed the tempo up a lot. I think that will work well against the Titans. And so I mean, I don't know if you said your pick, but I'm picking the Chargers here.
Oh yeah, I'm picking the Chargers, and I think they cover too. I might go to Vegas with.
I was going to say that's a forgiving line.
Yeah, I was going to start with like what's up with this line? Is there something we do not know? And
it's got to be the Eckler health,
that's what
right?
But
he did have an injury.
Even then, I'd still pick the Chargers at the end of the day.
And -3 too. That's a field goal. So yeah, let's take our mortgages. Let's pool them.
Okay.
Let's go to Vegas.
Yeah.
And then let's
Chase,
try to
Chase,
all right, I'll head that way now.
Chase,
no, but
throw your bag of your finest nacho cheese Doritos down on this one. They're getting the dub.
Yeah, but as a Colts fan, I'll say that the Titans are lucky they're in the AFC South, and they should not have any of the players on their team that they do right now because they need to restart.
Jimmy, kick us off with the next one.
I mean the Colts looked all right last week, and Anthony Richardson surprised. I don't know if he surprised a lot of people. I think if people were just excited and hyped to see what he would be doing. I think he still has some accuracy issues as per usual. I mean, it's week 1, but on the ground, he needs to be more careful. The Colts defense played all right, but the rushing attack is going to be tough. The Colts, I think the Texans defense looked fairly well last week. I think Will Anderson played very well. I think this game is basically a toss-up. I'm going to pick the Colts just because, I'm not going to not pick the Colts. I think that's just the way it is. But just because this game's a toss-up, I'll lean my homerism. Any other game, I promise I wouldn't be biased at all. But right now,
Vegas agrees with you, even on the road. So,
there you go.
Fun fact: in Australia, all the way down under, just like our gravity, everything is flipped. The Texans are actually -1.5 over here, but that's okay.
Oh,
wow.
I agree with kind of everything you said there, Jimmy. I think you got 2 rookie QBs here. Even though the PFF leaned towards Stroud, I think Richardson showed more than CJ Stroud last week.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys hear? I don't know if you heard Trevor Lawrence had a bit of a word to him about like trying to not take so many hits. He goes, the hits hit a bit different in this league to college, so protect your body. And I agree with that. I think Richardson needs to. You don't want him to be Josh Allening. Sorry, Kevin, all over the place. And as expected, the Texans defense looked a little better under DeMeco Ryan. So this is a hard game to pick. I'm gonna go Texans because I feel like we've agreed on everything, and I like a little bit of conflict. Yeah. So I'm going Texans.
And I think the first 10 minutes or first quarter will determine this game because the Texans could ground and pound. I don't know if the Colts could do that, so I think the Colts have to get out to an early lead. But yeah, I like your pick, Age.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Texans as well. They were my offseason darling team, my second favorite team that I can't really have the confidence that you all have in your second teams because they actually still suck. I just think they're gonna suck less than they did last year. So I'm all in on the Texans here, pulling out an upset at home against Anthony Richardson. I think CJ Stroud puts together his first nice NFL performance. Nico Collins really flashed in week 1. Very excited to see Nico Collins continue to play. Maybe get a little bit more work from my boy Devin Singletary. That's my guy. I just love him. But yeah, no.
Zach Moss. You like Zach Moss?
I actually don't even
a little
bit.
Oh, okay. I'm so happy
he's not a Bill. It's not even funny. But I do think he's a sneaky good fantasy play this week because I think he's going to get volume.
Yeah.
He's going to get some volume.
There's nobody else to get the ball to.
So Jimmy, is anything else you want to say? We did get the whistle, but anything else you want to say on this one?
I'm leaning back and forth, but I wouldn't. I just want to see a good show out of Anthony Richardson. That's all I really care about. I think the Colts secondary is iffy too. So
you'll get that.
If you want to start some Texans players, go for it. If you want to start some Colts players, go for it. But
Nico,
just to make this game interesting. But it's a fun AFC South game.
The same courtesy I gave to Mr. Ray, I'm giving to you, Mr. Revito. Floor's yours.
This feels good. This is going to be. Look, I will say this, that they played great against the Bears, but the Bears defense was just rubbish. The secondary was terrible. Now, not that the Falcons are overlapping with defensive weapons, but I feel like it's going to be a bit harder of a challenge. I mentioned that 3.1 air yard that Justin Fields threw. The next lowest intended air yard, Desmond Ridder at 3.3. So the Falcons, they've talked about getting Bijan Robinson a little more involved. Because everyone expected him to get a lot more touches than Tyler Allgeier, which did not happen. But they still look like they can put it together. Kyle Pitts, they need to get Kyle Pitts involved in the game. He's like one of those players that just I feel like every year we're waiting for him to just have this season that he hasn't had. So
sad.
Yeah. So the Falcons, I feel like have got the weapons here to do this. But I will say the Packers defense was looking great last week. Again against the Bears. Watson could be back, but he also could be out. Jones could be back, also could be out. So those are two really key players. Dubs is dealing with the hamstring injury as well, but he should be here.
Not the poster children for health right now. The Packers.
No, they're not. They're not. But the thing is, look, knock on wood, nothing is super serious. Bakhtiari was back without even practicing. Dude is just and he dominated without he hadn't been at a practice since August.
He's a beast.
He's awesome. So, so I'm picking the Packers hands down here. I actually think that if the Packers get going the way they did last week, if they continue to play with Jordan Love just sneakily having the best QBR in the league for week 1, then I think that 1.5 is going to look very, very coverable.
Yeah. Jimmy Ray, thoughts on this game?
Man, I talk so much trash about the Falcons, but I think I'm going to go ahead and pick the Falcons here. I think their secondary.
Is this just revenge because I didn't pick the Colts?
No, it's personal. No, I didn't even. I thought about that after I decided I was going to pick the Falcons, and I was like, you know what? Their secondary, Jesse Bates balled out, and he lit like a fire in me. I think he is one of those guys that the Bengals will regret, losing on. And we can talk about the Bengals all we want. I don't think we've really mentioned the Bengals. We will eventually, but they were trash. So, anyways, let's move on. So the Falcons. They have AJ Terrell. They have Jesse Bates. They have a lot of offensive talent. I think their goal, regardless of how Drake London and Kyle Pitts do, I think their goal is to win. I think the goal is to win. They don't care about fantasy. They don't care about anything, which is weird because they picked both those guys in the first round.
Top 10.
You'd think you'd drop someplace and make that happen. Yeah. I don't necessarily trust Desmond Ridder, but I think this will be a close game overall, and I think the Falcons could pull away just because their defense and rushing ability. I think Tyler Allgeier will still be. I think week 1 showed that he'll be part of their offense when necessary, and I think Bijan will slowly start increasing their workload, and there'll be a lot of movement there. But I'm going Falcons here. So
I'll jump
break
in
the
really
tie,
quick
Kev.
at the buzzer. Yeah, I'll make this quick. Falcons have a great running game. Falcons have a great defense. Falcons have Jesse Bates, but the Packers were the sneaky, week 1 team that everybody said that we could all be sleeping on, and I think we were. And so I'm ready to ride with the Packers. I'm ready to take them
over
over
to the dark
Falcons
side
here. Me and Adrian versus Jimmy and Brian.
Let's go.
And we have another great game, Ravens at Bengals. Bengals 3.5-point favorites at home after a just abysmal week 1 performance where they put up 3 points. And, we're, for all intents and purposes, blown out at home, or not at home, in Cleveland by the Browns. So, and Ravens, meanwhile, should have dog walked the Texans and didn't. So 2-score wins, a 2-score win. You take your wins where you can get them in the NFL. I'd rather have a pretty win than an ugly win than a pretty loss. So I'll just start with this one by saying that I expect a get right game for both teams. I expect this to be a better match, a prettier game. And I don't think I did pick this with Brian last night on 30 Minutes. I don't remember who I picked, but the pendulum has swung. I'm kind of leaning Ravens right now. I just think Burrow's health is not great. I just think the Ravens are a great defense. I think they're a more complete team. And even though the Bengals are my Super Bowl pick, I think I'm going to start them in an 0-2 hole.
That's a rough spot. 2 division losses in a row would put them in it. I'm personally of the thought that if you get to 0-3, you're already like your season's just about done. I know
you're
it's
behind
not,
the 8 ball.
Yeah. And good teams are allowed 4 to 6 losses. You've used half of them for this.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Ravens did look better. They've obviously got the injury issues. I am going to go and jump on my mountaintop. OBJ, I'm standing by. Remember my shot that I called, Kevin? No more than 70 yards in a game in the first 6 weeks, and I stand by it. Didn't get involved.
How many did he have in the first? He had like 40?
30 something, yeah, but he didn't get a touch until the third quarter.
Nice little game. Yeah.
Yeah. Safe flowers look good. That was impressive.
Yeah.
So it's a hard one to pick. What's the spread? 3.5?
3.5. I'm taking Ravens, man. I'm riding.
The only thing I'm going to go Bengals because I think he's going to be we talked about Josh Allen revenge mode. Joe Burrow wouldn't even let his parents visit because he was just so focused on this week's game. So
yeah,
I'm sticking with the Bengals.
Is the calf healed though? Is he going to be able to do what
he got a haircut though?
Oh,
did you see his fresh cut? I mean, come on,
lighter on his feet.
You got to know that before you make decisions on games because I'm going Bengals too.
That's fair, but my QB doesn't get haircuts.
Okay.
Y'all seen Josh's hair? Y'all seen Josh's hair?
Is that going well?
Oh, hey.
Okay, does he need a haircut or no?
Maybe he might. If one more bad game, then I'm calling for a haircut. Yeah. I'm calling my barber, sending him to Buffalo. This is easy money for me, Ravens. I'm taking. I know you guys are rocking with the Bengals. I like it. Let's keep it moving, guys.
I will say I think it'll be a field goal game, so I don't think
close.
The spread will be. I don't think the spread will be covered. I wouldn't trust that.
I think the Ravens are gonna. I think their passing attack is gonna come to life this week. Chiefs 3.5-point favorites at the Jaguars. Playoff rematch. Patrick Mahomes running around with his tongue out of his mouth, limping around the field. We've all seen it a million times. It's the NFL films. Oh, Pat Mahomes playing through it. Who wants to take the lead on this one? Because I'll get nauseous if I keep talking about
it. I'll take the lead. I think the Chiefs will come back and have one of those games that the Chiefs typically have. Hopefully, I don't know the exact status of Travis Kelce. I think that could play a huge factor. So bear with me with this decision and picking the Chiefs. Because I think if Travis Kelce is out, it could be tough. But I think the wide receivers, I think the Chiefs had an easy chance to win last week's game, and they easily could have.
Yep.
Not anything against the Lions, but both teams weren't exactly their best versions of themselves.
Nope.
And I think the Chiefs have to kind of come out and be better than they were last week. But it should be a great game overall. I think they'll play up to the talent. I think the Jaguars are a great team, and they're at home. But I'll pick the Chiefs in a close game. So I don't trust the spread right now either. I would pick the Jaguars in the spread, but I'll go ahead and pick the Chiefs by 3. 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter.
Just to answer there, Kelce is still day-to-day. Not sure if he's coming back or not. Chris Jones is obviously back in the line, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's a tough one to pick. I'm going to go with Jags. I'm going to go with my boy Calvin Ridley. I think he's going to have another balling game, and especially if Kelsey's not there, Chiefs just don't. Patrick Mahomes is just one of those players, but he just doesn't have the people to pass to.
So you're seeing 0-2 start for the Chiefs.
which is and this is what I was going to say is of the Chiefs, Bengals and Bills, one of them I think is going to start 0-2, which is a rough place to be for an AFC superpower.
Yeah.
If I'm picking one here and it's only because the weapons around him, I'm going to go the Chiefs going 0-2.
Oh my word, Adrian. This is so controversial yet so brave. I'm going to pick the Chiefs in this game because I'm going to forecast the Kelsey plays. So my 0-2 AFC superpower is the Bengals. Yours is the Chiefs, and Jimmy's is we haven't gotten to them yet because you have to have one, Jimmy.
I have to?
No, I'm just kidding. Jimmy's is the Colts. No,
yeah, woo!
I'm just kidding. No, I'm very, very excited
Dolphins.
to watch this game. Playoff rematch. Dolphins are already 1-0, bud. No, I'm absolutely loving the Chiefs this season. I think Mahomes did everything he was supposed to do in that game. And like I said, Kadarius Toney swats every ball down that's thrown at him. They win against the Lions. No offense, Ant. This is pretty easy for me.
You can't blame Mahomes for that loss. Absolutely.
No, not at all.
That.
He looked like every bit like the magician that he always is. And in case you couldn't tell, I'm very salty about it because he's just so damn perfect and I'm sick of it. Let's keep it moving. We're flying through these guys. I'm loving this pace. This is what the Thursday show is. This is energy mainlined into your veins. 49ers and Rams. Niners. Next.
Niners.
Thanks. Just kidding. Who wants to talk about it? Age?
I'll jump in on this one. So picking the Niners, picking them to cover the spread. The Rams actually looked a lot better than we expected them to be last year.
They did.
Puka Nacua, Tusu, both looked good. But I wonder whether it's going to be a blip or whether that's going to be what we can expect this season. Worth noting here. So if you haven't watched this and I've called this out before, go and listen to the play callers by Jordan Rodrigue, and they talk about
McFadden
Shanahan
talks about
and
that a lot too.
It's so good. But what I will say is Shanahan has this matchup in his pocket. Like he's won 8 of the last 9 matchups against the Rams. I feel like he's always got Sean McVay covered, and I don't think that's going to change this week, particularly with the weapons. I mentioned the 49ers looking like the best team in football, and I stand by it. I think that McCaffrey is going to go off this week, and I think that they're going to hold I think they're definitely going to hold Matthew Stafford to a much more average performance. Yeah, modest. Yeah. That's the word I was looking for.
I mean, Stafford is one of the surprise performers of week 1. I think everybody who was talking smack on the Rams, myself included, we do have to apologize. I was pretty bullish that they would be one of the worst teams in the league, and they went out there and handled a team that I was high on. So respect to the Rams. I think they're going to compete with and maybe hang in there with the Niners, but I think it's going to be a 2-score game by the 4th quarter. Jimmy, round us out.
Yeah, I'm picking the 49ers. I don't think it's anything against the Rams, as we've talked about. I think it's more of just the 49ers are a powerhouse. But, I mean, if the Rams can stay in this game and maybe even cover the spread, I'm not picking them to. But if they can, or if they can pull out the win, I think that turns their season around, because before the season, people are like, oh, it's time for a rebuild for the Rams. Matthew Stafford's gone. Sean McVay's gone after this season. I'm not going to overreact and say the Rams aren't going to do that after this season, because I think week 1 against the Seahawks, I think it's just, week 1 is who knows what's going to happen. And I think the Rams are kind of an older team but Cooper Kupp's gone too. So we'll wait and see on the Rams and see how their season progresses. But I think the 49ers are one of the powerhouses. So I think we have to go them here.
Yeah. I had that exact thought, Jimmy, that if they could keep this close, like if they could keep this to say a field goal without Cooper Kupp, that to me vastly changes the projection for the Rams season. Like they don't need to win this game to sort of put themselves in as, okay, we could sneak into the playoffs.
They won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, so like,
right,
it's not too far out of the realm of possibilities.
And they've still got Aaron Donald,
but yeah, they do.
Still got Aaron Donald. He's not there. Cooper Kupp's not gone.
Pretty damn wild that we're looking at a world where the Rams made the same choice as the Titans and didn't burn it down a year early, and they're looking like geniuses once again. That same team who famously said F them picks is now the same team that didn't burn down their core a year early, and they might have one more shot. They might have a last dance type season in them. So yeah, I mean, there's two sides of the rebuilding coin, and we're watching them both play out. It is one game. Yeah, but I'm looking.
They could lose the next 6 games.
That's very right.
And then they trade Aaron Donald, and we're like, well, week 1 was fun,
dude.
But in my famous GM crush rankings, Les Snead's sneaking up. There's no Howie, but he's
top 5.
Yeah. Like,
You-
you know,
you-
how he's watching me as my eyes watch Leslie
Yeah.
walk past kind of thing.
You better
Yeah.
make sure that Brandon Bean is up there, but though.
He's
real.
no, but Brandon Bean is. I mentioned my
I was
love
gonna
for Brandon
say.
Bean. He's
I
no
was gonna say.
Howie, but he's
No.
close.
I agree. He's no Howie. Giants 5.5-point favorites at Cardinals. Giants had the shellacking of the week last week, 40-0 on their home turf, in the pouring rain. Came out, had a really great drive, blocked field goal return for touchdown, and the rest was history. I'm inclined to say this is a get right game for them. I've been a believer. They're a playoff team in my eyes. They were last year. I think they'll go again. I love Dimes, and I think they overpaid for him, but I think he's one of the top 17 best options at quarterback in the NFL. Quads gets it going. I think we finally see some action in the passing game for them. This is a no-brainer. The Cardinals hung in there. They took the Commanders' best shot, and they almost did it, which would have been really bad for their Caleb Williams prospects. That's a narrative that Brian McFadden is trying to push on everybody, by the way, that the Cardinals are in on Caleb Williams and Kyler's
Stand
out.
by it. Oh,
We'll
yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Stand by
They
it.
did pay Kyler a big old bag of money. We'll see what happens with that. I don't know how tradable his contract is.
Jeff
And
and
they
Josh
played-
Rosen
they-
too.
Paid Kingsbury a lot of money as well, didn't he?
Oh, you're right. And he's in Indonesia collecting checks,
Something like that.
something like that. I don't remember. Thailand. It was Thailand.
Oh yeah,
He's-
yeah.
He's somewhere, not here, not in the
I
NFL.
respect it. I respect it.
So what do you guys think of this game?
Yeah, this is be a get right game. I think you're right. It's going to be hard to pick the Cardinals all year, even though they looked a little better than expected. They're not playing. I actually think, and when we talk Cowboys, I'll drop a couple stats on you, but I think Cowboys have a really special defense, and everything that could have gone wrong went wrong last week. So with a bit of luck, they got it all out of the way. I talked about some. I don't think they're a playoff team, but I do think Dable is a good coach, and I think that he can come back from this. And he shouldn't have kept his boys in there. I feel like he should have had them out.
That was not a
last
good
week.
look.
Yeah, that was. But other than that, I generally respect his coaching decisions. And I will say this though. This is the only thing I'll say is that the Cardinals defense did show up last week. In fact, if you had them, if you're picking fantasy defenses, they are ranked third, only behind the Jets and Cowboys. So it's not going to be a cakewalk by any means, but I do think they're going to get right. I think Quads gets it going, as you mentioned, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with
And
both of you guys. I think that the Giants obviously looked not too great against the Dallas Cowboys, but the Cowboys have a great defense, like top defense in the league. So they just lost it early and they couldn't find it at all. But I think coming up against the Cardinals, I think Saquon Barkley could come out and play well. I think Danny Dimes could come out and ball out, and I think the Cardinals are kind of done for. I think Caleb Williams is definitely in the realm of possibilities for them, and they have a couple firsts that they could deal out.
It's interesting. Kyler's had success at the NFL level. They got him under contract.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you want to move on from?
They could.
It'll be interesting.
They
It'll be a
moved
fun
on from Josh
discussion.
Rosen, but they didn't pay him either. So
Yeah. We have the New York Jets, who are down probably the biggest injury in NFL history. Aaron Rodgers, torn Achilles week 1, heartbreaking. Big rallying win, though, which, as you guys know, is not sitting well with me, but, very happy for their fans that they weren't just crushed that night. I really thought when Bass doinked it in that was going to be the turning point in the game, but alas, it wasn't to be. 1-0 Jets. Cowboys with the biggest win of the week, 40-point positive point differential, turnover differential out of control. I think, this is. I'm gonna leave this one for one of y'all because it's just it's too sad to talk about.
Can I jump in on this one? Because look, I have to say, and the Cowboys defense, as I was just about to say, the previous game is something out of this world. The Jets talked about their defense being like the 85 Bears. I actually think the Cowboys have a better D than the Jets. So this is going to be a defensive showout. If you're betting this game, bet the under. But here's a crazy stat, which doesn't sound crazy on paper. Let me just explain it real quick. At the average pressure distance, so how far a pass rusher is from the quarterback when they either sack them or the ball's thrown, right? The entire NFL averages at 4.57 yards. The Cowboys' entire pass rush averaged 3.76. So that doesn't sound impressive, but if you think about a quarterback going to one side, the other side is still closer than the average NFL rusher. It doesn't matter. They are just a crazy pass rush, and Zach Wilson has been known to hold onto the ball. he's going to have a long day here. I'm picking the Cowboys all day.
Yeah, it's all about picking like the defense versus, because it's going to be a defensive game for sure, like you said, and that's why I wouldn't necessarily pick the Cowboys to cover the spread, just because I think both defenses are very good. Could it get out of hand? It could the defensives, or could the Cowboys defense score? Yeah, but I'll obviously pick the Cowboys here.
I could see another shutout here for what it's worth. I could see another 0 points on the board.
That'd be interesting. That'd be a great start for the Cowboys.
Yeah, and I think we've learned the script for the Jets in week 1 is hope that the other team's quarterback loses his mind. And Dak Prescott is prone to doing that. If there's any other quarterback aside from my guy who would do that, it's Dak, but I don't see it happening. I think this is a dog walk. I'm going to go more in I think this will be like a 20-3 kind of game, 27-3 kind of game. That's my vibe. Keep it moving, guys. We got how many games left? We're getting down to the wire here.
We still got a couple.
Commanders and Broncos. I'm definitely leaning pretty heavily Commanders here. Personally, I think the Broncos are super frauds. I can't believe the Broncos are 3.5 point favorites. I know they're favorites or home, but I mean the Commanders did do what they had to do to get a win in week 1, and the Broncos lost to the Raiders. So I'm not too inspired by, and I thought I'd be more inspired by the Commanders. They were kind of a preseason darling team as well, not unlike the Steelers. But their week 1, even though they got the win, it was against the worst team in football, and it was very uninspiring. So how do you guys feel about this game?
I don't feel
Jimmy's face says it all.
I mean,
this is
one of those games
on the
do
not watch list.
I'll pick the Broncos, but I'm not excited about it. I think Sean Payton could draw up something to make the Broncos look good. Did they lose last week? Yeah, but did the Commanders play the Cardinals? Yes. So could be an interesting game. The spread is a little bigger than I anticipated. I think it'd be more like the Colts Texans at 1.5, but they gave Broncos a little bit of credit because they are playing at Mile High Stadium. So that might benefit them ever so slightly. But I'll pick the Broncos at.
You know what, Jimmy and Kevin? Let me counter you both. Let me get on top of the beefy Russ corner. Russ looked better last week. 2 incompletions in the first half. One of those was a spike to stop the clock. I think Russ is back. And I actually think the Broncos are going to roll. Yeah, I know they lost the game. Don't get me wrong. But they've got you got a new offense. You got a new head coach. It's always going to take a bit of time to get it going. Yeah. They need to get Judy a little bit more involved. The Commanders' D is no joke, but the offensive line is a joke. They were an absolute turnstile last week, and Sam Howell is not the kind of player that you can have just the pass rush just dominating him. So I think the Broncos roll here. I think they cover the spread by a bit.
I love it. I love the boldness of this. We're kind of a little short on boldness right now. We got some people are out on some limbs here, but Adrian's he's going out there. He's planting his flag in Broncos country.
If they lose, I'll never mention it again. Never.
Oh no, please, and we won't either. We'll let you rock on that one because a lot of people have proclaimed Broncos country, let's ride, and a lot of people have looked foolish. It won't be me.
Yeah, it's a Dangerwich way to go, Adrian, but you made it happen.
Yeah. His middle name is Dangerwich. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's keep it moving. Dude, could really go for some Subway. Eat fresh.
Not a
Dolphins.
Sponsor.
Oh, here we go, baby. We have the Miami Dolphins -3 at the Patriots, and this is a big one because Adrian and I both are, we've been drinking the Kool-Aid on the Patriots. They're ascending. Me personally, however, on this game, I will say that I think it's going to be I think the Dolphins passing attack is just going to be too much. That's how I see this game shaking out. I think Tyreek Hill is going to go for another 150 and one. I think Tua is going to have a big game. I'd like to see the Patriots offense running attack get back on track. I know Ramondre was a little sick last week or something. So I'd like to see Ramondre come in and show us what he's got, because I actually am a big Ramondre fan. So that's my prediction for the game. I think Miami's going to be a little too much to handle. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think, look, the Dolphins have always been a bit of a thorn in the side of the Pats. Even back to the Tom Brady days, it was just weird that they tend to, even when the Dolphins are a bit of a joke. So I think, they're far from a joke at the moment. I think they're going to roll here. I do think that Jonathan Jones, their cornerback, he's had a lot of, a lot of success with covering Hill one-on-one. He's kept him under sort of 70 yards the last 4 times they've played. So I wouldn't expect Hill to have another 200-yard game. But I will mention that their team, the speed of Hill, so he clocked the first and second fastest speed in the NFL last week, and the fourth fastest was Jalen Waddle. So their speed is insane. They're built to be able to just fly through these huge chunk plays. But then that said, they're against Bill Belichick. So I think it's going to be closer, and that's probably why the spread reflects that, but I'm picking the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the stat that Adrian thrown out. Not a surprise there, but yeah, I think the Dolphins will also roll against the Patriots. I mean, if Tyreek Hill gets covered, they have a guy named Jalen Waddle, like you mentioned as well. Fourth highest speed. I think he's solid too. And I mean, is the rushing attack great? No, but I think they could do it if necessary. And I think Mike McDaniel is pretty creative when it comes to that. Sunday Night Football, bright lights. I think the Dolphins will roll them and show everybody that they could be a powerhouse in the AFC.
Yeah, we're unanimous. We're sweeping, picking the Dolphins. Don't sleep on the Patriots. None of us are saying that. We're all in on them. And Monday Night Football, here we go. If I had to say I had a second darling team, it would be the Saints. Jimmy, kick us off with your thoughts on Monday Night Football. Oh, there's two Monday Night Football games this week, right?
Doubleheader. Yeah,
random.
Browns and Steelers too.
So
next.
random.
Yeah.
So random.
I mean, the Saints, Derek Carr looked all right last week. Both these teams, I think Bryce Young looked okay. I don't think he looked great at all. I think he looked like a rookie, and with the weapons that he has, I'm not surprised that it didn't exactly go great. I'm leaning the Saints here just because I think they have a better overall team, but I think it could go either way. It'll be interesting. It'll be an NFC South battle. So I think whatever you expect from that, I think that's definitely what we'll get.
So it's one of those football.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also one of those things where like this game is an hour before the next game, so they'll overlap. So maybe that's why they did it. I think it's stupid still. Like start it earlier.
Stupid.
I don't care.
Oh my God.
You can't watch both, man. Come on.
I don't know
ridiculous.
What the NFL was doing with that.
Yeah. I'm angry now. Sorry.
I'm going with you boys here. I'm taking the Saints. Derek Carr did look good last week. He looked fairly comfortable. Young, he looked young, struggled last week, and he threw a couple picks. But Jimmy Ray mentioned that Jesse Bates was just balling out, picking him off. And I will say this: look, he's got a rough go with the weapons around him. We mentioned in today's Legit Football headlines that Hayden Hurst was his top receiver on all stats, receptions, yards, touchdown, the whole deal. And the wide receiver core is just slow. Like the average separation is well below league average. The only one above was Laviska Shenault. Other than that, he's really dealing with some rough pieces around him. So I think the Saints are really going to roll here.
Yeah, no, I'm totally in on that. I think we see a little bit more life from Bryce Young this week. The Saints defense isn't exactly elite, so I think we might get a little bit, maybe something more along the lines of like a 27-21 kind of game. Like we might get a little bit more, but I still think it won't be pretty enough to justify the Monday Night Football time slot. So that's Jimmy's probably 100% right. That's probably why they scheduled the second game, because they were like, we don't want to subject people to this nonsense. And last but certainly not least, we do have the marquee AFC North matchup teased earlier. Browns 2.5-point favorites at the Steelers. Adrian, you've been back and forth. You've championed each of these teams during the offseason, so I'm going to let you kick this one off and ride us off into the sunset as we all get ready for Thursday Night Football.
Yeah. I think that's really my strategy. Is I champion both until there's one emerges, and then I say, "Well, I've been saying it since the beginning." No, I'm all. Yeah, I think the Browns are probably the one to get behind here. The defense is scary. Myles Garrett looks beastly. I know. Look, the thing is, it's hard because the Steelers look so good in the preseason, but it is the preseason, and they really did not play well, admittedly, against the 49ers. So it's going to be this week where they're either going to get right or they're just going to kind of be the kicking boy of the AFC North for the remainder of the season. So Pickett looks super uncomfortable.
He looked bad.
But they opened with 5 3-and-outs in a row. For an offense that was meant to be great. And now they they were playing the 49ers, which is fine, but the Browns defense is great. And the pass rush is super scary.
Myles Garrett is a monster.
Dude. And now that he's got a bit of help, he's always been a monster, but he's been the only monster there. Now you got Darius Smith on there as well, just to give him a little bit of help. And he's like, I'd put him in the defensive player of the year convo already. Yeah, after week 1, I'd put him.
I agree. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to pick the Browns here.
Yeah, I'll pick the Browns as well. I think it'll be kind of a matchup between Myles Garrett and like TJ Watt. TJ Watt played great last week, but did we really even see that with how bad the Steelers were playing against the 49ers? Not really. I mean, they ran into a wall. I don't think it'll be like as hard of a wall, as big of a wall this week, but like you said, I think the Browns have a great defense as well, and I'd pick their offense over the Steelers' offense in terms of like breaking through that wall. I'll just keep going with that analogy for some reason.
I love it.
I'll pick the Browns as well. I'm not excited about it, but I do what I have to do.
And talk about ugly football, right? I mean, both of these teams have been.
Yeah, both these games are not
champions. Yeah, this is a
go back and forth, decide
doubleheader poop fest. Not sure which game I want to watch less. If anything, the tiebreaker will go to the quarterback. So I'd probably watch Carr. I'd probably watch that game. But both, I mean, we got some good defenses in this game, for sure. And if the Steelers are who we thought they were, then they'll look better this week against the Browns. I don't know even if they look better, if they still come out with a win, with how up against it they are right now. And it's not new for Mike Tomlin to have his back against the wall to start a season and come out. So Adrian did say that they would be the punching bag for the AFC North if they lose this game. I think I'm inclined to say never count them out, right? Because even if they're 0-8, Tomlin's going to find a way to go above 500. So
yeah.
But I'm picking the Browns as well. So absolutely phenomenal recap show. I don't know about you guys, but I'm seeing stars after talking about every single game. It's a very fun thing to do, but it's also like afterwards I'm like, I close my eyes and it's like, you ever play Candy Crush for too long and you close your eyes and you just see all the candies? I'm going to be just thinking about football in my head for the next hour. I'm going to have to go walk in the garden or something.
Yeah. I just closed my eyes and saw Jesse Bates. I don't know where that came from.
Myles Garrett. Yeah.
Whoa, that's scary, man.
That's
I don't know
way
which one's
scarier.
scarier.
Yeah. But anyways, we're getting ready to wrap things up. So Anthony, thank you for an amazing show. Armand, Chase, good at baseball, 28-28. We had an amazing time with you guys as always. Adrian, anything you want to say to the people?
No, nothing at all. Just that I said this last week and I'm saying it again. It's just so good to have this back. We go through the off season and this is why you see stars, because you go through the off season and, it's practice, but it's not really training camp. Right. And then, so there's no training camp this week. Come in and you hit it hot and heavy and it feels fantastic. And it's good to have the band back together with all three of us here.
I love it. And this is the band now. And we're going to have an outstanding run of Thursday shows on Legit Football. For fantasy advice, waiver wire advice, Tuesdays. For fantasy Q&A and fun chopping it up about fantasy football, that's Wednesdays. Jimmy Ray, anything you want to say to the people?
Anthony Richardson, youngest player ever to have a passing and rushing touchdown in the same game.
Boom.
So he's 21
NFL
years old.
Stats.
So
that's that NFL stats.
Yeah. Let's just say, I mean, he's a young dude. He's a young dude. That's what to take from that. I mean, it's not hard to get a pass and rushing touchdown in the same game. People do that all the time, but
it's not hard.
He's the youngest.
Then why don't
it's not hard. I've done it a couple times. Okay.
I know. Quarterback Jimmy Ray, head coach Jimmy Ray, the man with many hats, Jimmy Ray, NFL Stats on Twitter. I want to thank Adrian, Anthony, everybody in the chat, Jimmy Ray. You guys are the GOATs. This has been the Legit Football NFL Podcast, and we will see you next week.
Peace.